I feel like he probably told her a little bit about what happened. Hi. Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach Ruin is the DLC that was recently released for Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach. It is the latest in the Five Nights at Freddy's game franchise, and I have a lot of thoughts about it. I feel like it could have been a lot better than it ended up being, and I need to talk about why and how and all that stuff so that it'll stop living in my brain all the time. So I'm going to go into this later on, but a really brief overview of the plot of Ruin. You play as this girl, Cassie. You're stuck in the Pizzaplex trying to find and save your friend Gregory, who says he's stuck in the Pizzaplex and you have to rescue him. Who's Gregory? Well, he's the protagonist of Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach. He spends a night stuck in the Pizzaplex trying to escape the various animatronics that are going about there and solve the mysteries going on. You don't really need a lot of context from the overall Five Nights at Freddy's franchise to play and enjoy Security Breach and Ruin, because they kind of operate on their own little canon bubble. The only thing that really comes up from the original series is the main villain, so a little bit of context if you somehow haven't heard of Five Nights at Freddy's before this. It's a game about a pizza restaurant with animatronic animals. It's Freddy and his friends. There's been a couple different iterations of basically the same kind of premise. You're in a place, and those animatronics are coming to get you. So Security Breach was the first kind of open world addition to this series. So that's kind of some general context on the series. I'm about to do a cool magic trick where I unbleach my hair and untrim my facial hair because I had to re-record this part. So I don't remember what I'm going to say next, but enjoy it! Now we need to talk about what actually happens in Ruin itself. Chapter 1. By the way, the chapters are divided weird. It doesn't really tell you, like, hey, you're entering a new chapter. You just kind of play for a while until you die, and then it respawns you somewhere. So, we enter the Pizzaplex, we get exposition that Cassie's there because Gregory called her, and not much else there. We get the flashlight, and we get the... What's WT? It's not the fast wrench. Walkie-talkie. Gregory, through the walkie-talkie, tells you that he's stuck under Roxy Raceway, and then you have to come save him. So you start walking through, you get an event, it falls, and we get our first Chica jump scare. Ooh, Chica's back. Then we get the Faz wrench, which is important. Faz wrench, just like my dad's. We look into a big pipe and get Monty jump scared. Ooh, and then the title card flashes, and it's great. Then we come out of the water, and we're in Monty Golf. We go wander around, we meet Maskbot and get the Vanny mask, and then we meet Helpy, who immediately stabs us in the brain after telling us it wouldn't hurt, and fuses with our brain with little to no warning or a consent sheet. Like, that's the whole joke with Freddy Fazbear's, is that they're like, they have ironclad documentation saying, even if we do some horrible shit to you, we gave you all the disclaimers, we told you what's happening, sorry you're out of luck. But this is just a kid grabs a mask and gets stabbed in the brain. We learn to use the cameras, we learn that Helpy can produce voices that perfectly mimic someone else's voice.
Gregory! Are you there?
Hey! That's my voice!
Wow, sure that won't come up later. And we get our first secret cam. Ooh, you zoom out, you get a secret cam. That'll come up later. Gregory tells us we need to disable security. Cassie does not see this as a red flag and is like, yep, let's turn off all the security. So we get our first security node. There are a lot of security nodes. One might even say too many security nodes, but that's neither here nor there. We meet our good bunny friend, who will come up later. His name's Mexus. Some people have been calling him Glitchtrap. He is not. That includes the official IGN walkthrough that I used to speedrun getting my recordings. That's not Glitchtrap, that's Mexus, I'm sorry. Anyways, we get a Monty jump scare where he immediately gets crushed by the thing he's chasing you under. That's a recurring theme. We got more nodes and more jump scares. There's so many nodes. And then we have our first anomaly spotting camera, which is never explained why or how that works or happens. It's just, here's Cams, find some stuff in him. Good job, kid. Get our anomalies, clear the way, head towards daycare, end chapter 1. Chapter 2 starts, Gregory calls us, he says, hey, you need to go to the daycare theater behind the daycare. We go into the daycare, we get our moon jump scare. He's creepy. We meet Sun, who's like, please help, we are fucked up. We're not supposed to be 2 guys, we're just supposed to be 1 guy. Please help us be 1 guy again. You go through, you turn on all the generators like we did the last time. I think there's only 2 this time. And Sun and Moon are not a threat at all. They stand directly in the middle and just wait for you to finish it whenever you feel like it. So that's interesting. Mexus isn't even a threat in this one. Because, there's very specific places you're allowed to put on the mask to get, collectibles and stuff, or to go through specific doors. And then immediately it's like, okay, take it back off again. We turn on all the generators, we go and reboot Sun Moon. They fuse into Eclipse, and Eclipse is like, oh my god, a little girl! What are you doing in here? It's dangerous! This building is foreclosed! Picks us up and flies us away. We still don't have an explanation on how Sun, Moon, Eclipse can fly. In the original game, it's implied there's, cables hanging down from the ceiling with hooks on them. I always thought that was supposed to be the way that they flew. That they just grabbed one of, hooked one of those on and then were like, whee! But no, this one, Eclipse explicitly just flies, so that's fun. But Eclipse carries us out to right near the daycare theater entrance. Very helpful. Drops us there. Then we head out to meet the endos again. We do more nodes. We do more anomaly spotting. Once we finish the last bit, the big screen that we're looking at, if we put on the mask, it's a big giant endo, and it's and it's woo. It's a very cool effect, honestly. And then we climb down his throat. That's pretty much the end of chapter 2. The exact divide between chapters is not very clear. So I don't know if chapter 2 ends right when you climb down that throat, or right when you take off the mask and it turns on into the vent, but either way, that's the end of chapter 2. Chapter 3, Cassie's in the throat, she's like, oh my god, I'm stuck! Ah! Ah! And Helpy's like, just take off the mask, sweetie, it's easy. Look how smart and cool I am for saving you again. You should trust me with your life. We crawl through the vent, it falls again, and they do a whole, Seinfeld-ass bit, oh, this vent's really creaky. I hope it doesn't fall. It's not a good bit. Let's just point at it and say, haha, that just happened. Because we all love that kind of humor. So we fall in the vent. The vent lands directly in a Monty gondola cart, which is very convenient. They are apparently triggered by things falling into them because they start going. We get to watch the Monty replacing Bonnie. It's propaganda, let's be real. I've seen people being like, whoa, so wait. Bonnie did just pass on the torch? No. Of course Monty killed him and they had to cover it up. You think they're gonna make an attraction for their children's theme park saying, yeah, one of our robots went insane and murdered another one, so we gave him his spot in the band? No, they're gonna say, yeah, Monty, it's Bonnie he just wasn't feeling it anymore, so he had to retire, but he really wanted the spirit to carry on, so he gave it to Monty. No. It's propaganda. That's their little story to, tell the kids and explain away why Bonnie's not there anymore. So we run out of gondola track. Cassie jumps out onto the catwalks very heroically. There's a lot more nodes. This section's a little bit annoying. This was where my first few deaths happened. Just because you're just going in circles and Mexus is always popping up. There's a magic portal that Helpy outright refuses to explain how it worked. You go through the magic portal and Cassie's like, ugh, how did I get here? And Helpy's like, you walked, stupid. No, she didn't. And she didn't. And Cassie, ever the bright protagonist, goes, okay, and moves on with her day. Then we go through another magic portal to a really, really long catwalk. Mexus does a dramatic approach at you, and then gets somethinged. The captions say digital scream. I don't hear a scream out of that. And Helpy's like, I disabled it. I'm very helpful. It's never gonna bother you again. You're safe forever. And Gregory chips in and he's like, well, I helped, but yeah, you're safe forever. Don't worry about it. And Cassie goes, I believe you, and moves on with her day. We go back to the catwalks from that mystery long portal one that only exists to do that jump scare and have Helpy disable it. There's nothing, unless I'm misremembering, there's nothing you do on that catwalk. The portal just could have gone from where it started to where the one at the end of the catwalk takes you, but it didn't, for no reason. So we get back to the actual catwalks in the real world, and we successfully get through the million nodes and divert the gondolas to maintenance, which is like above the bakery, kind of. But we divert to maintenance. We activate a conveyor belt and watch Chica go. We follow her. We get our first Mexus inhibitor, which forces Cassie out of the mask. By the way, Cassie's like, hey, I thought you said you took care of him and he wouldn't be a problem anymore. And they're like, well, Tabe got around it. Somehow. But we get our first inhibitor. Cassie takes Helpy's excuse for why the rabbit's back after both he and Gregory were like, yeah, he's gone forever, don't worry. We go into because the inhibitor is down a floor. We see it through a hole in the ground, so it's down a floor. So we are like, okay, we gotta go down to the bakery. So we go down there. We see a conveyor belt with Chica that is not the same conveyor belt that we came in on. I'm fairly certain that conveyor belt drops Chica down, and then a big cupcake on the wall sees us and is like, and knocks us onto the floor. And that's the end of chapter 3. So now, look, we're on the back side of the page. Now we're on to chapter 4. There's a lot of nodes in chapter 4. My first note here is nodes. There's so many nodes in this goddamn game. Pick something other than nodes for us to do. Oh wait, they did. With the anomaly spotting. Anyway, here's where you can find Chica's feeding frenzy. If you go through a little side route, you can play Chica's feeding frenzy. If you get to level 20 and beat it, you get Chica's voice box. By the way, I did that on my first try. But we get the voice box. We leave the area. Chica, we leave that little area and go back on the, actual story path. We go through this little box. Presumably it's a vent opening, but it's just a box. But we go through the box and ooh, Chica jump scare. And she grabs us and screams at us, and then somehow some concrete squishes her in a very poorly animated cutscene. I don't want, I know, I forgot to put this at the start, but, I know it's a free DLC, so most of my criticisms are not about, appearances, especially because when I was playing it, I had to crank the quality down a lot to make it not be very, very, very laggy. I think that's a thing with the computer I was playing on, so I don't blame them for that, and I get it. It's a free DLC, the standards are already low there, but it's a really bad cutscene. It makes no sense. Before I told you it'd be, these dudes getting crushed by things out of nowhere with no explanation is a recurring theme. So, Chica gets squished, the concrete falls perfectly over the hole, so you can't go back. We find and disable another inhibitor. We use a mask to go through a cupcake's mouth in the bakery, do some more nodes. We find the virtual server room, which again is never explained. It's just the virtual server room. Presumably it's what's powering the AR network, because you can't leave the AR mask while you're in the virtual server room, so it's presumably part of that. and in theory doesn't actually exist in real life, and that's why you can't take off the mask. But, like, you go through a physical door to get into it. Is there an actual room there? Is this all just happening in Cassie's brain? Whatever. So we go into the virtual server room. Helpy again is like, you are completely safe from Mexus here. He cannot get in here. This place is sacred. He cannot touch you. And the very next room, ooh, there's Mexus. But specifically, like, I'll put what Helpy's lines are here. And when Cassie's like, hey, you said he couldn't get in here. Helpy's like, I said he shouldn't be able to get in here. I was not right, and it is not safe. And that's supposed to be like, well, technically, I didn't say he absolutely couldn't get in here. But, like, yeah, in the first line he says he shouldn't be able to get in here. But in the second dialogue bubble, he specifically says, like, you are safe here, you can rest easy knowing that he cannot get in here. So, like, you very specifically did say he can't get in here. And then he did get in there. And Cassie accepts his excuse again. We get through the virtual server room with more anomaly spotting. This time you gotta go quick because Mexus is right there and he's giant. As far as I know, he doesn't actually pose a threat in there. The only real threat there is the static will get so strong it gets a little bit hard to see where you're going. That's a choice. We get out of there, we leave for Roxy's salon. That's the end of Chapter 4. Chapter 5, we find Roxy crying. She's all sad because she doesn't have eyes anymore because Gregory took her eyes in Security Breach. It's sad. At this point, the only thing we really know about Cassie and her history with the Five Nights at Freddy's, with the Freddy Fazbear franchise is when she gets the Roxy talkie. It's like, if you look at it in the inventory, it says, oh, a walkie-talkie of my favorite character. That's all we know. So Cassie sees Roxy crying, and she's like, Roxy! And Roxy hears that, and is like, oh, who's there? Is it Gregory come to steal more of my eyes? But then we hear Gregory shouting in the distance, and Roxy turns around and goes, woo! And then Cassie, learning nothing from the fact that Roxy just heard her whisper, goes, Gregory! Gregory, run! And somehow Roxy doesn't hear that and come back and see her. We do the world's, I have this written right here, world's most annoying nodes and inhibitors. I hated this section. I died so many times in this section. It's so annoying. There's so many inhibitors. And the nodes are in weird places. I think one of my inhibitors in my playthrough was broken. There was one that never activated to be deactivated that was like right near a section where I kept dying. So I feel like that inhibitor was supposed to be active and I could turn it off, and it didn't. So I just died a lot in that section. It sucked. Get through that eventually. Things of note are the cardboard cutouts and the missing posters. We see at one point while we're deactivating one of the nodes, before it's deactivated, we see a little cardboard cutout of Gregory and Cassie together and being friends. And after we deactivate the node, we see Cassie crying and like all alone and sad, and there's missing posters of Gregory up all over the one wall. So that's hints at what's to come. At this point, we can find Chica collapsed in a bathroom and reinstall her voice box. And she, like, after we do that, she sits up and she goes, pizza! And then deactivates forever. She never comes back. That's the end of Chica's arc. Why? Like, it makes sense if you don't have the voice box. If she just deactivates there and that's where she's dead, sure. But if you find the voice box and reinstall it in her, all you get is a single line of her saying, I smell pizza, and then dying. Why? Do something with that. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. We will discuss that more later. So we watch Chica die if you got the voice box, or just go, oh god, Chica, and maybe kill yourself walking into her to see what she does if you don't have it. Next, we get to the log ride section. We get to a little water area that has some platforming with Monty in the water. In theory, very good, very scary premise. Monty's AI is garbage, so he He's really easy to dodge as long as you don't jump directly onto his head, which I accidentally did. So, I mean, who am I to fucking talk? It's not hard. It's not hard. It took me 2 tries, and the second try was literally just make sure I don't jump directly onto his head. And it was fine. I do like the Phase wrench. What are those even called? Station? I like that part. If Monty's AI was better, it would be suspenseful, but like if you know that he knows nothing, then it's not scary at all. You just kind of hear him splashing around way off in the other side, and you're like, but we do that. We do the little Phase wrench thing. That electrocutes Monty. He's dead forever. Cool. We'll also talk about him later. Not as much as the Chica one, but like I do have thoughts about that. But after that, we proceed to Roxy Raceway, where we've been heading the entire game. That's the end of Chapter 5. So now we're into Chapter 6. We try to call Gregory and get no response, so Cassie's like, maybe to get a better signal, I'll have to head deeper into the raceway, which is not how signals usually work. Usually you go higher to get a better signal. I'll give you their walkie-talkies, so their signal is local. He was able to call you from the entrance. You were at the entrance. That's the farthest away you can get, pretty much. So I don't see why right next to where he is, right above where he is, suddenly the signal's bad. That's a weird choice, but we decide to go deeper. We use the cams to lure Roxy around using Gregory's voice in the cameras. Ooh. So we use Gregory's voice to lure Roxy through more of the wooden doors like we're in the first game, so she bashes through them. After we move her, we go through the place. We get jump scared by a go-kart driving into us of its own volition. That, as far as I can tell, exists only to prevent backtracking. For some reason. I don't get this. It's not a good jump scare because you see it in a cutscene and then it releases you and you either, A, like a lot of people, don't realize that it's released you from cutscene mode and get hit by the go-kart, or you move out of the way and that's the end of it. And the boxes fall down and you can't go back. That's a weird way to do no backtracking. It's a linear game. You can allow backtracking and let people just waste time wandering around. It's fine. Next we get Roxy jump scared when we go through a doorway. She yells, "Give me back my eyes!" because she thinks you're Gregory. Cassie goes, "Ah, let go!" And Roxy goes, "Oh, I'm sorry. Error." And then a thing falls. No. I'm pretty sure a door just closes. I have thoughts about that section. Spoiler, later we find out that Cassie, like, on Roxy's deathbed, we find out that Cassie has been to the Pizzaplex before, had a birthday party, met Roxy there, and Roxy remembers her from that. Why that's only mentioned on her deathbed, I don't know. Because I'm pretty sure we don't see Roxy in between here and her dying. Like, she could have mentioned it there. Like, obviously, it's a jump scare. Cassie's scared. We're not expecting her to stand around there and exposit about her past birthday party. But instead of having her say just, "Oh, I'm sorry, error," you could have had her say, "Cassie?" And then have her do the error thing, and the door closes. We get Roxy jump scared. She remembers us. We don't know that yet. And then the door shuts. Now we're on our way to Bonnie Bowl, which starts us into Chapter 7. My Chapter 6 notes are really short. I don't feel like a lot happens in that one. Chapter 7. We're in Bonnie Bowl, and now we get to play with the DJ Music Man swarms. By the way, I've been forgetting to mention, there are more secret cams, not just that one in Chapter 1. There's one in Chapter 3, Chapter 5, and Chapter 7. So we mainly use the audio lures to get them different places in those cams. There is one of the secret cams in this one. Their AI's not great. The whole group will move to the place, and you'll see in the cams that the other area is empty, and you go into the place where they were, and there's like 3 of them just hanging out. They're not actually that hard to dodge, though, if you're, like, ready to circle a thing. You can just walk around it, and you'll be fine. And eventually, usually, they'll lose aggro and leave you alone. But sometimes they won't, and you'll get some dumb deaths in this area. That's just how it goes. But we lure them around places, they deactivate as soon as we deactivate the node that they were camping. So that's nice, at least, that they're not just kind of there. One thing I will also mention, Bonnie is in this area. Glamrock Bonnie. I don't have footage of it because I didn't feel like getting console commands or tracking down all the Pat-Pats, which, by the way, stupid name. Stupid name. I'll have to double check if that's actually the real name, but if that's the real name, stupid name. But didn't feel like getting all the wet floor signs, and anyways, I've heard it's glitched, so even if you get all of them, it won't work, so you have to use console commands. But Glamrock Bonnie is there. We'll touch on him later, but what happens if you do have all the wet floor signs is you find a specific one that opens a vent that you can walk through, and past that vent is dead on the ground Bonnie, surrounded by 4 new
wet floor signs.
And Bonnie's eyes are glowing. If you disable all 4
Wet floor signs.
he deactivates. Like, his eyes turn off. So, that's a thing you can do. We will come back to that, because that's all that happens there. It never comes up again, and it should. Anyway, we find Bonnie's... Theoretically, it's Bonnie's dressing room. This calls it a locker room vent. It didn't feel like a locker room to me, but we find another vent. This vent turns into a swirly portal, for reasons. Then we get a Mexis jump scare, like the Looney Tunes transition, and it's, I guess, supposed to be scary because you can't stop, but, like, it's a cutscene. That's how it's gonna go, and it looks dumb. It's not a good scare. We fade to white, and then we fade back in, and we're just in Vanny's room. We're just in Vanny's room. That's just where we are now. There's a sword in the Princess Quest 3 machine, which I will get into later, vis-a-vis what I think the canon ending of original Security Breach is, going into this one. TLDR, I'm pretty sure this game considers the Princess Quest ending the canon one, for reasons I will explain later. But we see a sword in the Princess Quest machine. Stay away from the candle. Okay, he's just sitting in the window. From Vanny's room, we head down to Phaser Blast. We do more nodes, and there's more magic portals, because we can't not have magic portals and nodes. Those are so important. We encounter Headless Freddy, who notably has prototype written in big black letters on his foot. My aforementioned graphics quality tinkering makes that unreadable. He just has a smear there, but it says prototype, believe me. But we meet Headless Freddy. His stomach has turned into a rawr, and it's all very scary, yeah. We have our first real chase sequence where there's a real threat, but he's slow, so it's not really a real threat. But we do the Headless Freddy chase. We disable an inhibitor with, there's the main chase, and you jump off a thing, and once you jump off that thing, Freddy, I guess, can't follow you off the thing for no reason. He's just not able to. You'd think he could, because all you do is run up a ramp and fall off. But I guess your child knees can take the brunt of falling better than his metal ones. But so, that's the main chase sequence, and then you go into another little area, and you see the inhibitor, and then Headless Freddy comes in the other side of the room, and you have to, sprint in and hit it, and put on the mask as fast as possible, because most of the animatronics can't see you in VR. They can just sort of exist. Like, if you run into them, they'll still kill you and be like, oh, fuck a child, but they can't see you, including the endos, so you can watch them actually just wander around until you take the mask off, and then they stop, so that's fun. But we put on the VR mask, and Freddy's not there. He just has no presence in VR. We go through another vent, we do a little Music Man chase scene, which definitely needed to stay over from the last game. Glad. Then there's another vent, and then another vent. And that third vent is slow as hell. It's so slow. It's so long and slow, and it looks like you should be able to slide down it, but it didn't let me slide down it. And it took forever to get through. Why? Stupid slow vent is the end of chapter 6. That's what I have here. Go through vent, music man chase, then another vent that's stupid slow. Did I say that's the end of chapter 6? That's the end of chapter 7. Going into chapter 8, we are finally in the area under Roxy Raceway. Gregory calls us on the walkie-talkie and is very obviously fake.
I finally have a clear signal.
Cassie doesn't notice.
Roxy's the final node. You need to deactivate her.
At all.
Deactivate her and save me. Save me, Cassie, please. It's so dark down here.
And just moves on with her day. Obviously fake Gregory tells us that Roxy is the final node and she needs to be deactivated in order to rescue him. We find her stuck under a thing because things just fall on them all the time in this game. She's under a truck. She now exposits about knowing Cassie before because she had her birthday party at the Pizzaplex, and it's very sweet and it's very sad, and you have to deactivate her no matter what, which I will talk about later. You deactivate her, it's sad. Cassie cries the whole time that you walk down the thing, especially if you walk slow and are like looking for collectibles. She cries so much. We didn't need random subtitled Cassie crying sound effects the whole time. It's fine. You can just... We know she's sad. It's fine. Cassie cries her way down. We find the sinkhole elevator down to a glowing mushroom cave. As soon as we walk into the water, Cassie's flashlight dies. We wander around finding 5 Faz tokens. There's technically, I think, 7 that you're able to find. I think that's just so that, you know, if you're bad at finding them, you can still do the whole Candy Cadet story. We find Candy Cadet. He does his little story. It's a very good story. It would have been better. It would have been better for reasons I will get into. In short, Security Breach Ruin repeatedly ruins its own suspense. We get to Candy Cadet. We give him all the tokens. He tells us a story about a little boy who lives with his mom in the woods. There's a scary monster in the woods. The mom catches it and puts it in the basement. The boy's like, I'm scared. But mom's like, no, it's fine. It can't get out. And then she sings him a lullaby to sleep. And then the monster learns the lullaby, and when the mom's gone, sings it for the little boy, and he goes downstairs into the basement, and that's where the story ends. Which, like, at this point, we know, we get it. We get it. Like, that story is good for building suspense and making this, like, an actual, like, oh my god, Gregory is fake. Except they ruined that surprise already, with obviously fake Gregory telling you that Roxy's the final node. But we listen to Candy Cadet, we go through the burn trap rooms, and then we find a security room that has a very helpful forklift posed directly in front of the door, and the Mexus box. So we disable the Mexus box. He does a little jump scare thing. Obviously fake Gregory regurgitates the stupid door won't open line from the first game. Cassie, still with no awareness whatsoever of her situation, turns on the forklift, bashes through the door, goes in there. We get the, oh my god, Gregory's fake?
I'm Gregory.
Oh my god!
You're not Gregory. What are you?
I'm Gregory.
We get that reveal. The Mimic attacks Cassie, who is very bad about just standing still while things want to kill her and just letting them go for her. Roxy saves her just before the Mimic can grab her and is like, run away! Cassie runs out of that section of the building and then stands completely still for a long time while real Gregory calls her on the walkie-talkie and is like, no, I didn't call you there! You're being tricked! Something dangerous is down there! And she's like, yeah, no shit. You don't get to be uppity about this, Cassie. You ignored every single hint that a dangerous thing was tricking you. You don't get to be like, how am I supposed to know you're real? I don't know, Cassie. You're stupid and trust anyone who talks to you on that walkie-talkie, so might as well just do it this time. Mimic defeats Roxy and comes after Cassie, who's standing in the exact same place. Didn't start running away in the meantime. That's fine. You know, not everyone can talk and run. And this is when the final chase scene starts. This gets us into the endings. I have problems with the endings. So, the default / bad ending, presumably real Gregory, guides us back to the exit elevator, talks to us over the intercom and is like, I'm really sorry, you were never supposed to come here. I didn't call you, it was mimicking me. I appreciate you trying to help me a lot, but sorry, you're a liability. And cuts the elevator cord and you die. Like, you don't die. The after credits thing is that Roxy says, Cassie? So presumably Cassie survives that fall and Roxy finds her, and that's like teasing for a future game. It's an ending. It's an ending. And presumably because it's the only one that gets an after credits scene, that's probably gonna be the canon ending. What a character choice for Gregory. So that's the default / bad ending. The Brazil ending is there. I've seen a lot of people saying this one's presumably a joke. God, I hope so, because it makes no sense. In that final chase scene, if you take a left, right near the end, there's a cardboard cutout of Freddy that you can put the VR mask on next to, and it plays this screen.
Cassie, I'm okay. I found a spot to hide.
And it replays that same audio from when Gregory lured Roxy away earlier.
Cassie, I'm okay. I found a spot to hide.
And that's where it ends. Like, I've seen people being like, well, this is either A, the Afton programming in the mask finally taking over her for good, and putting her in some sort of mindscape so that she's compliant, or Cassie, like, convincing herself that she's escaped when actually she dies. It's an ending. None of the endings in this game feel like endings, because it really all comes down to which door you exit through. And that's not super fun. The good ending, the more specifically the scooper ending that I mentioned earlier, this one you only unlock if you get all 4 of those secret cameras I mentioned in chapters 1, 3, 5, and 7. And if you do, each one opens a door in that final chase sequence. There's a little hallway off to the left that you are like, weird door that's glowing and looks like I should go down it. Anyways, but if you've got all 4 of those cameras, those doors are open. And the mimic is in a costume. I've seen theories that this is, like, it was trying to build a Gregory disguise. I disagree, because it looks like ass. If they wanted it to look like a Gregory disguise, they could have made it like this. The mimic is not a real AI designing a disguise. This game was made by video game designers. They could have designed a better Gregory disguise for it to have thrown together, if that's what it was intended to be. So I hope it's not supposed to be a Gregory disguise, because it looks like ass. But if it is, we're putting that on the problems list. I know that's petty, but it looks like ass. And I know that's, like, the reason that there's a costume at all is supposed to be as like a visual shorthand to let the player know, yes, you successfully got all these cameras and are able to do this ending now if you want. But, like, you could have just done the stars on the home menu like they do in all the other Five Nights at Freddy's games. You didn't have to reinvent the wheel here. The stars served their purpose. We go down that little hallway of 4 doors that we unlocked. We go into a little room. Once you get into that little room, the mimic is no longer a threat. You can take as much time as you like looking around that room. There's nothing interesting in it except for a button. And you push the button, and the instant you push that button, the window fogs up, and Cassie presses her face to that window. If you've even heard of horror games before, that's gonna be a jump scare. You know it. You can't see a thing through a window and your face is close to it. It's gonna do the thing. So when it does the thing, you're like, yeah. You get jump scared. And then, the advanced scooper, comes in and grabs the thing and scoops it back. And then, when the fog clears, it's on the ground dead. And then we fade to black, and then credits roll. And that's it. That's the good ending. So you see why I have thoughts about this, hopefully. Now, I'm not going to be going into graphics stuff, because, again, it's a free DLC, standards are a bit lower. That's fine. I'm fine with lag, fine with weird glitches, whatever. One exception I will mention, if you're making a game with, like, bright lights and shadows and ray tracing, give the player character a model that's not just her arms. Because then what can happen is your character can stand in front of a bright light and cast a shadow that's just arms. You have a Cassie model. You made her for the cams. Just kind of grab her and slap her down on that player model. Easy. On to the rest of my issues. The number one issue I think this game has, and the one that made me want to make this video in the first place, is the fact that Cassie is unobservant to the point that it's ridiculous, and she's not allowed to make decisions based on the information she gets. Cassie ignores every red flag that gets thrown up for her. So, like, Gregory's voice lines, that one's kind of on the fence, because, like, most of the lines are fine. It sounds like they had Gregory's voice actor come back in and record new lines specifically for this game. So, like, you could argue that she would have no way to know that they were not real Gregory. That kind of falls apart right up close to when you're about to deactivate Roxy, like I mentioned before. Obviously fake Gregory at that point. She should have, like, a realization moment of, like, hey, this sounds like a computer program splicing together audio from my friend. That's suspicious. But she doesn't. She can't notice at all. Or, like, he tells her, turn off all security, and she can't have a moment where she's like, that's maybe suspicious. Gregory and Helpy refuse to answer questions most of the time. She'll ask Gregory questions, and he'll just either not answer outright, or he'll just disappear. That's suspicious, Cassie. Or Helpy, especially, all of his red flags. Her first interaction with this dude is getting stabbed in the brain and having technology implanted in her without her permission, with no warning. The first thing he says is a lie. He says it won't hurt, and it does. She should immediately be like, what the fuck is up with this thing that's in my brain now, you know? But she doesn't, because she has no brain cells at all. The concrete door holding the mimic back, she should be like, hey, if Gregory just got stuck here today, how did someone pour concrete over the door to keep him stuck? Like, I know at that point it's kind of like too late to have any influence, but she could be like, all of this is weird, I'm gonna turn around and leave, or something along those lines. And also, like, the fact that she doesn't move during cutscenes. Like, whenever exposition is happening in cutscenes, she stands completely still. The Mimic ending, when Roxy tells her to run, and she just stands outside the building forever, letting Gregory say stuff to her. Run! A person with a brain would run there, but we can't because they want a tense chase scene right after that. And that, I think, is bad game design. Don't design it that way. Because playing as Cassie takes it from scary to frustrating. Because the entire time you're like, it's obvious. It's obvious. Imagine with me for a moment a version of this game where we, the audience, are given all the pieces, but Cassie is not. Reuse more lines from the first game. Cassie would have no way of knowing that those are reused, but we, the viewer, would be like, hey, that's the same line. Is this just they didn't feel like having him re-record lines, or is this actually a hint about what's going on? Have Gregory say things that we, the audience, know from playing the first game is not true, but that Cassie, who is not present for that, would have no way of knowing. So then, in that version of the game, we're sitting there going, oh, Cassie, you're getting screwed over. You are getting absolutely tricked here, and there's nothing we can do about it to help you, right? Versus the version we got, Cassie should know. She should figure stuff out at some point. After being lied to the entire game, constantly put in danger, and having all these red flags put up, she should be able to realize. She should be able to have a moment where she's like, oh shit, I'm being lied to. She can't make decisions at all. There's no point in this story where you get to make an actual decision as Cassie. And the one decision you should be able to make is not to deactivate Roxy. Like obviously it's hard to, like, have that be a thing in gameplay for having Cassie realize that something's up, or letting you, the player, realize something's up. That's hard to integrate. But deactivating Roxy would be the perfect point for it. Have Cassie be able to decide not to deactivate her because something's fucky, and have that influence the story. You could have that be the way that you get to the scooper ending, rather than, like, it just being, find some secret cameras. You could have, like, you decide not to deactivate Roxy. Roxy is attached to the Pizzaplex, like, networks. She might be able to know something's up, and then she helps you get down to the basement, and have that be how you get to that ending. Have the player be allowed to realize that something's up, when that's, like, the whole secret. Or not even secret, just the whole plot is, oh my god, Gregory's fake. And they're dropping hints about it the whole way through. Let them act on it. Let them act on it. Let them choose not to disable Roxy. Have them go, hey, this guy doesn't sound like Gregory. He sounds like fake Gregory. I don't think I'm going to listen to what he says to do, and turn off my friend robot. And then go from there. But we can't. We don't get to. We have to deactivate Roxy. We have to fall for the Mimic. We have to fall for Helpy. We get no choice. And that sucks. I think that sucks. I think that should be something that we get to do. Bonnie. Bonnie has no impact on the story at all. Like, they spend a lot of the first game, not a lot of it, but, like, there's hints there, and people were super, super excited about that storyline with, like, did Monty kill Bonnie and take his place? And people are, like, theorizing about it and stuff. And then in this game, they do bring Bonnie into it. Here's Glamrock Bonnie. You can find him. And just deactivate him, and then he's done. And that's it. He could have been interesting. They could have used that. They could have done something similar with Roxy, where she saves you in that end chase. They could have had something like that happen. They could have actually had a resolution to the Monty conflict, and instead of just, electrocuting him to death, Monty could save you from him. And that could be the resolution of that. People would be like, oh my god, he got his revenge. He got back at Monty. He saved you. It's great. That would have been super cool. People were really, really into that whole theory line, and they just dropped it. And they're just like, he's deactivated now. Done. Goodbye, Bonnie. That sucks. He should have some impact, especially with how much people liked him. Similarly, I already mentioned this a little bit, but Chica. Giving her back the voice box should do something. Again, like, have her come back to help in some way. She could, now that she has her voice box back, maybe there's a special security door that she can open for you, and that gives you a secret. Integrate her into the Scooper ending somehow. Like, maybe make it, you have to save all of these guys, and then that gets you the Scooper ending, you know? Tie them into the plot somehow, or into the secret endings somehow, instead of just having them be background things that you can do, and then they're dead forever. Because that doesn't feel like a good resolution. That just feels like, oh, I found it. So glad I put in all the work finding these stupid wet floor signs, and playing 20 levels of Chica's Feeding Frenzy. Suspense issues. I mentioned this too. They ruined their own suspense with the... what was it? Oh, with the Mimic reveal. They ruined that suspense, especially at Candy Cadet. Like, Candy Cadet's story could be really interesting and tense, but by the time you get to it, you've already had very obviously fake Gregory telling you, come find me in the raceway, and it's like, I get it, yeah, he's not real, I get it, yeah, and it's like, why are we acting like this is a big reveal when it actually does show up, but it's not. You spent, like, the last, a half hour of the game just stabbing it into your brain like Healthy, just like, hey, Gregory's fake, and it's like, yeah, that one vent obviously does it. Or what was the other one? The Scooper Fog. I mentioned that one when we already talked about the endings. Let me see. Oh, the subtitles in the bad ending ruin that. Literally, take the elevator falls and take it from the end of Gregory's subtitle to the end of Cassie's subtitle. It takes a while after Gregory finishes talking for the elevator to actually fall. So you're reading elevator falls way before it actually falls. So you're reading that, you're like, wait, for real? And then it falls and you're like, what? Why? What? Like, it didn't have to be did no one watch it back after they timed out the subtitles? I'm assuming no, because they're really badly spaced in that clip anyways. Like, just move it down to her line so it's not spoiled literally right before you do it. It's weird. There are no real threats. I talked about this a bit with the daycare sequence, how Sun and Moon don't do anything. The concept for that section is that you have to turn on the generators to freeze him in place, and then you can go reboot him. He doesn't move, ever at all. You could just walk straight up to him and reboot him. Like, I get it, like, if you tried that, he would probably hit you, but, like, have him be moving around and, like, nearby, and that continues. Like, that pops up a lot. Like, there's another clip I have. First of all, it starts with a very good Mexus peeking around the corner like a creeper. But then it's Monty at that one door. You know the door. It's playing right now, probably, where he's, like, ripping it open, and it's just, that's decorative. Why? Because, like, the first split second that he's here, you're like, oh my god, he's gonna get me! And then you just stand there staring at him for a while, and you're like, oh. No, he's just there. He's just kinda... Why? There's no real reason to do that. You could have him be a real threat, and, like, you have to leave that room real quick or he's gonna get out and hit you. Or not have him there, or, like, have the door actually close in front of him and he can't get it back open, so he turns around and, like, tries to go around or something. But having him just sitting there, like, and you can watch the animation loop, it just really drives home, like, no, there's no threat here. you're just kind of there. I think the first real big direct threat is the Freddy chase, and again, like I said before, that's not very dangerous as long as you know how to turn on sprint. And like the mimic chase, he's not right behind you. Gregory's lying. He's a ways back. As long as you, again, use sprint even a little bit. And that, I think, detracts. Like, I get there were parts in the first game, in Security Breach, where, like, people were like, this part is really, really hard out of nowhere. I am so stuck. Oh my god. But that doesn't mean take away all threats. Like, balance them out a bit better, but, like, have there actually still be threats in your horror game. Your players dying sometimes is not bad in a game with autosaves where it respawns, and, like, that drives home the danger. Like, hey, these animatronics will kill you if they catch you, so be scared of them. Or alternatively, like, you see, number 6 on my list of problems. The endings. Like, there's no follow-up past any of those endings, right? Brazil ending pops up, you just see the thing, and then it's credits. Scooper, it's on the floor dead, and credits. The only one with any sort of follow-up is the bad ending, and all that is Roxy saying, Cassie? Like, that's not, and, like, this, I think, is an issue that carries over from original Security Breach. Like, that one, it is obvious. Like, it's a good game. I love Security Breach. The ending, like, we all know the endings kind of are, because, like, they were just the storyboarding drawn a little bit better because they were really, really slammed for time. I get that. But that kind of continued, like, we didn't even get comic endings in this one. We just got, here's the end of the gameplay, you're done, goodbye. Give me some follow-up. None of them actually feel like endings, especially the Scooper. You see it laying there on the ground, and you're like, whoa, this is an interesting development, and then it's done. Did Cassie get out? Is Roxy okay? Is Gregory still gonna murder her on the elevator? Does Gregory know the mimic's dead now? What happens? You know, and, like, I know that's probably leaving it open-ended so that they can do more games to, like, tie into it, or probably mostly just to give theory people stuff to sink their teeth into. It doesn't actually finish telling the story. Your story should have a conclusion. You don't just have the climax and then stop. You need the conclusion so that people are like, okay, I feel like I experienced a whole thing, rather than, you know, I was reading a book and my friend ripped it out of my hands at the best part and burned it. We're almost done. The last thing I have is theories, because it wouldn't be a Five Nights at Freddy's video without theories. So, I mean, I do have to include those. I already discussed a little bit, but which ending of Security Breach is canon to this game? I said earlier, I think it's the Princess Quest one. The sword in the thing, that seems to me like a pretty clear, like, hey, this is no longer active sign. Headless Freddy is located in Blast, which is where, you know, the whole confrontation while they're trying to confront Vanny happens, and Freddy gets knocked off the thing, and, like, the staff bots start ripping him to shreds. And in that ending, after you finish the Princess Quest 3 machine, Gregory takes Freddy's head in his bag and leaves with Vanessa. So that, to me, makes the most sense. I know Freddy has prototype written on his foot. I know. I still think this works, especially because Gregory says he has a friend who has the schematics of the building. It makes sense for that to be Vanessa, along with the fact that someone built Mexus. Do you need something? Join me. He's apparently gonna co-host. Come here. Or don't. Don't say something. having fun. He's very bitey. Someone had to build Mexes. And it would make sense for that to be Vanessa. She has tech experience. She knows how these kinds of things work. She has a lot of experience with having your brain interface with these electronics. Along with that, also, that makes more sense as to why Gregory drops Cassie down the elevator shaft. If that is real Gregory, which is another one. But with this one, like, I've seen some people theorizing, like, the reason that he dropped the... He's got his tongue out. Saying that the reason Gregory dropped the thing was because he didn't know if it was actually Cassie in that elevator or if it was the mimic. And so, like, he wanted to apologize in case it's real Cassie, but in case it's not, he is still going to tie up loose ends. I don't agree with that one. First of all, because in the elevator ending, you can see the intercom, and then you can see a camera right next to it, and how else would Gregory be able to guide her in real time through that ending if he doesn't have some sort of camera vision down there? What I think it is, and this one ties into Vanessa being there too, what I think it is Cassie now has Helpy buried in her brain and can see everything she sees, hear everything she hears. That would make it really easy for the mimic to follow them, no matter what. No matter who's in that elevator, no matter what Cassie's actual motivation is, no matter how deep in her brain it is in there. And that's dangerous. And Vanessa, of all people, knows exactly how dangerous you can be having Fazbear tech buried in your brain. So, that, I think, probably is why it gets dropped. Again, I think it's a really weird decision. It's a really weird decision story-wise for them to make. But that's the reasoning that makes sense to me for why he would do it. Isn't, oh, what if that's the mimic still in the elevator? I think it's, even if it isn't, it's got direct access to her brain. That could cause problems. Oh, yes. I said real Gregory. There is a theory that the second Gregor that talks to you after you get out of that, like, room, either A, at first that is real Gregory, but then the mimic takes back over the airwaves when you get in the elevator, and that's the one who drops it, which doesn't make a lot of sense if it does want to escape, but it... Or B, that was still the mimic pretending the whole time, and just guiding you into an elevator so that it can kill you specifically. So that... I guess that kind of makes sense to me. I'm not sure how into either of those I am, but it's a theory. Oh, one thing I forgot back in ideas to fix stuff. The audio for Mimic Gregory is perfect for most of the game. Like I said, like, it really drives home that last couple of minutes. Like, I'm in the sinkhole under the Roxy Raceway. And, like, that's not great, because there's almost no audio. Okay, I'm being Claude. There's almost no audio weirdness before that. I think it would have worked much better if they had just, like, toned it down, but spread it out a bit more. Include a bit more, like, direct quotes from the first game. That would have certainly been, like, it's really obvious playing through and listening back that, like, all of these lines were recorded specifically for this game, just as they were. Most of it's fine, and then in the last 2 minutes they just decide, hey, let's make it obviously fake, in case you haven't caught on by now, I guess. And that just doesn't work right. It ruins the reveal right before they do the reveal. Pick a lane. Dial it back, but spread it out throughout the game. Have Gregory's voice actor record multiple takes of each line and then splice those together. Like, have them be similar but just off enough that if you're really listening you can catch it. That, I think, would build up more to the reveal than just, like, he's a robot now, suddenly. He was fine the rest of the game, but now suddenly he sounds like a robot that we know he is. You know, other theories. Bonnie is Mexis. I have no basis for this beyond they're both bunnies, but I like it. That's it. I just feel like it would be cool if they like used Bonnie's AI somehow to build Mexis on top of it, just to tie things together. I just think that would be cool. The last one, I think the mimic is Freddy's endoskeleton. So like I talked about how Freddy is in Phaser Blast, Headless Freddy, so that's why like it makes sense that Princess Quest 3 is the right ending. Or that Princess Quest ending is the right ending, sorry. My kind of conceptualizing of it is that they left Freddy's body behind, right? In theory, that's what the mimic is built on. Like, they took Freddy's endoskeleton and have been tinkering with it, and maybe that's how they got to the mimic, because that would also explain how it has so much Gregory audio. If that's the answer, I can kind of excuse the, like, it actually having lines that sound original and good, because if, you know, like, most of Gregory's lines in the original game are to Freddy through the Freddy watch, so it would make sense for a lot of that information to get stored in his systems, and for that to be how they have access to so much Gregory audio. And then also, that makes sense why Headless Freddy doesn't show up in AR at all, because like the other ones, no matter how inactive they are, they do still show up. They still have their husks there. You can still see their outlines. But Freddy is gone entirely. And tying back to the fact that it has Prototype on his foot, maybe they took just another endoskeleton, crammed it into a Freddy shell as a decoy. And then the reason maybe that all of the other animatronics do show up in AR to some degree is because like their, I don't want to say soul, but like they kind of have souls. Their soul is still in there. It's still like Chica is still Chica. Freddy is not still Freddy. And you could make an argument that that's because all of Freddy is currently stored in his head, so the body's just kind of whatever. But I like the idea that they found his body, took his endoskeleton, turned it into the mimic using the Gregory information that was stored in there, and then set up a decoy so that Cassie, or whoever, wouldn't be like, oh, where's Freddy? That, I think, covers all of my thoughts on Security Breach Ruin. It sure was a video game. To be clear, it is good. It's very good. There's just some very specific areas where it was a swing and a miss, and it would have been so easy to hit that I'm going insane. So I had to unload the insane on you. It'll probably take me 1,000 years to actually get this posted, because I don't know how to edit. It's gonna be hard. Thanks for watching. If you did, if you liked it, I don't know. Go hug your dad. Bye.
Do you need assistance? Do you need assistance? Do you need assistance?
Shh! Be quiet.
Cassie's there and is... Hi. This is Goblin. He's... helping. Squishing.